Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how blood flow restriction training has finally died out. Now it's been replaced by something probably worse, but let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Alright guys, blood flow restriction training. You know, look how many people out there promoted that, and I was saying all this time, this is nonsense, it's stupid, the evidence doesn't even support that it works. I've read all the same studies everyone else has read, and nothing in those studies to me provided any sort of substantial evidence that blood flow restriction training is even capable of equaling the same muscle mass as conventional strength training with barbells. Again, I've seen the real world results of both, and I don't see the guys doing blood flow restriction gaining muscle any faster. Well, the people that I do see doing it who seem to be gaining quick are also doing synthol and other stuff. They're injecting stuff into those muscles also, and hey, maybe that works well in combination. But the reality is, with all these tying the tourniquets on, at the end of the day, I look at the evidence, and not once did I see any evidence that is any form of long-term modality that it was equal to conventional training. Now, in the short term, it showed metabolites equal to the sort of hypertrophy training you see a lot of the people in the evidence-based world going to, but here's what that comes down to. Most of these evidence-based guys, again, particularly the ones in the research field, don't actually know a lot about how to coach training. So therefore, they struggle to do studies on people because they can't teach people how to lift correctly, and they have to stick with the less effective stuff. They don't know how to teach a proper barbell squat or a proper deadlift or a proper standing press, so it's hard for them to do programs to compare that, and they never ever do traditional training methods in these studies. They never do it. Like, proven effective training protocols don't seem to make it into these comparison studies. Why? Well, because they need coaches to actually teach them. And two, that's not going to give the results they want. The results they want is to show that this stuff works. So they can't go having someone do a linear progression on squats for 9 months straight and then compare that with muscle biopsies and DEXA scans in the thighs of people who they've done blood flow restriction on, because there's going to be a massive difference skewed towards the traditional strength training program. They can't have that. You know, and the other thing, though, the reason it caught on in spite of that is because, hey, it was being studied, when really it's the sort of study we should have never studied. It's not something that we should have wasted any money studying. The fact that a single grant dollar was spent studying this stupid hypothesis shows half the problem in the exercise research world these days, particularly as it pertains to anything bodybuilding related. You know, since there's no real money in that, they can afford to get it wrong, right? These people can afford to get it wrong. You start doing a study, though, that deals with athletic performance, and that gets carried over by coaches who are training real athletes, you're going to end up getting sued for the millions of dollars you cost their athletes. Right? They don't do that there. They know better. They'll do it with stupid bodybuilding stuff, though. And here's why it caught on and it was so trendy, because there's 3 things bodybuilders love, that are known for. Number 1, inflicting pain, masochism. They like inflicting pain on themselves because they oftentimes believe no pain, no gain, so pain is considered good. Number 2, it lets them use some sort of external device that can make them look hardcore. And number 3, it's lazy. Those characteristics, even though people say, how can they be lazy and masochistic? Well, it's a trait you see common in people who lean towards bodybuilding as a subculture. They tend to be really lazy with their training while at the same time enjoying pain. Which kind of goes together, because if your training is painful and you really do lift heavy and train hard, you're going to end up being injured really, really quick and be out of the game. So they kind of need to be lazy if they want to inflict pain. And this does all of those things. It's the laziest form of training you can come up with. It looks hardcore and people watch you because you're doing something to show off that's going to be painful, it's going to hurt, and it's going to put in their mind no pain, no gain. So since it hurts, it must work, and I'm using an external device. And everyone's going to see me doing something different. They're going to watch me while I'm being hardcore and having to grunt and yell because of how much it hurts while I'm doing this in the pump I get. All right, that's right up their alley. That's why it's sold to the bodybuilding world. Now, here's the thing, guys. This no pain, no gain, or that pain must be good, I can tell you right now that's not true. The opposite is true. That feeling pain in a muscle or a tendon is not a good sign. I mean, I could take this and shoot myself in the bicep, and you know what? My bicep is not going to grow as a result of that. I'd torn this bicep before. It hurt. It hurt really, really bad. You know what? My bicep didn't get bigger as a result of that. Didn't get bigger. In fact, it got smaller. All right, this idea that inflicting pain is somehow a good thing is absurd. It's absurd. Now, the worst part, now that everyone realizes blood flow restriction doesn't work, that occlusion training is stupid, that it is literally the stupidest training modality that anyone has come up with in at least a decade. Stupid beyond belief. Now that everyone's realized, oh, you know, a lot of these guys don't know what they're talking about, even the guys who promoted it, Lane and everyone else, are kind of idiots when it comes to certain aspects of training. People who seem to get hurt all the time. It doesn't seem to work. It was trendy, it was gimmicky, it sold a bunch of bands and stuff. It doesn't work as well as normal conventional training. We see that now. Now everyone's quit. And what have all of the ass clowns out there who did this stuff jumped to now? Overloading the muscles with heavy partials. Because, you know, if you're lifting more weight even through a shorter range of motion, you're now overloading the muscles. But that's not new, is it? That one comes around about every 15 years, and people write books about it. And then when it doesn't work, they jump over to something else, right? Power factor training. You guys remember that? Anyone who's unfamiliar with that, we'll find you a copy of that book. Read it, and then see how nobody got results on it. Everyone, I tried it, by the way. I tried it. Everyone 15 years ago tried this, 12 years ago, whatever it was. It didn't work, but it sounded good on paper about overloading the muscles with strong range partials. Didn't work. Everyone got weaker and smaller, even though they had done studies showing that it worked. Their in-house studies. Didn't work. It was trendy, but it didn't work. And they had all this math behind it to show why it should work, and all this theoretical, logical reasons. They broke it all down with mathematical formulas and gave you formulas to follow to do it. It didn't work. Everyone got smaller and weaker who did it. But it sold a lot of books. Now that's coming back around full circle. You got to do strong range partials. It'll overload the muscle with a heavier weight. And again, I've covered enough times why that doesn't work. Guys, all of this trendy nonsense doesn't work. Basic, proper training programming using big, heavy compound movements for the majority of your training. And that's fine. Weak point training and specialized training a bit on top of that. If you need to do it, then do it. But if the basis of your training is around progressive overload, proper programming with big, heavy compound movements, you are going to get bigger and you're going to get stronger. Every single time. Anything else outside of that is not only going to be less effective, it very well might be a trendy gimmick. Might be a trendy gimmick. And again, this shows over and over and over how people fall for this. People fell for the power factor training. People fell for this blood flow restriction nonsense because a few big names endorsed it, when it turned out to be it's sheer stupidity that doesn't work. Wrapping tourniquets around your arms and legs in the gym. Now back to the heavy partials again. Everyone's doing it. None of this garbage works, guys. Full range of motion, progressive overload. Big barbell movements. That works. It's proven. It's time proven for decades. It's been proven for decades. Anything else, unless it's some sort of specialized programming, is probably garbage. You know, again, stuff like certain types of concurrent periodization are showing in some studies potential to be slightly better. But we're still sticking with the basics. We're just learning, can we program them a little better for certain outcomes for advanced lifters, right? That's it. And as far as training goes, you need to remember there's nothing new under the sun. And 99% of the time, anything new introduced is going to tend to be garbage. It's going to be ineffective. And until you see a reason to believe otherwise, I'm going to recommend you don't go and try it for yourself. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.